friends. In the previous video of this chapter, we learned about the meaning of reconstitution, the circumstances, what are the issues considered at the time of reconstitution, the sacrificing ratio, gaining ratio, goodwill, its meaning, nature, features, factors affecting the value of goodwill, need for valuation of goodwill, and the various methods of calculation of goodwill. These all laid on the foundation for the chapter. Now, in this video, we are going to discuss something very important from the numerical point of view. We are going to learn over here the accounting treatment of goodwill, the accounting treatment of accumulated profits and losses, the accounting treatment of revaluation of assets and reassessment of liabilities. Let us see what AS 26 has to say. Treatment of goodwill issued by ICAI, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. According to AS 26, goodwill should be recorded in the books of accounts only when some consideration in money or money's worth has been paid for it. AS 26 deals with intangible assets. Para 35 states that internally generated goodwill should not be recognized as an asset as it is not identifiable resource controlled by the enterprise that can be measured reliably at cost. Thus, following AS 26, goodwill should not be raised in the books of accounts in case of admission of a partner, retirement of a partner, death of a partner, change in profit sharing ratio among the existing partners. So these are the various cases wherein goodwill should not be raised by the partners in the books of accounts, as no consideration in money or money's worth is paid for it. However, if any partner brings premium over and above his share of capital at the time of admission, such premium should be distributed among the other partners in their sacrificing ratio. If goodwill is evaluated at the time of change in the constitution of the firm by way of admission, retirement, death, or change in profit sharing ratio, goodwill would not be brought into the books of accounts. The value of goodwill should rather be adjusted through partners' capital account. What is the accounting treatment of goodwill in case of change in profit sharing ratio among the existing partners? If the existing partners of the firm decide to change their profit sharing ratio, the gaining partner must compensate the sacrificing partner in gaining ratio towards the share of firm's goodwill sacrificed by the sacrificing partner. Let us see the entries. First one, you can see the entry over there. Gaining partner's capital account debited to sacrificing partner's capital account. When capital of partners is fixed, in that case we all know very well that current account is to be used. Entry is gaining partner's current account debited to sacrificing partner's current account. What if goodwill is appearing in the books? Goodwill already created or generated by the partners will have to be written off. So the entry is existing partner's capital or current account debited to goodwill account. So you can see there the three entries are there. The basic thing is when the effect of goodwill is to be given, gaining partner's account debited to sacrificing partners, it depends whether it's a capital account or a current account depending on the method of maintaining the capital account. And if goodwill appears in the books, that needs to be written off amongst the existing partners in their existing ratio, that is old ratio. What is the accounting treatment of accumulated profits and reserves? If a firm has undistributed portion of profits and reserves at the time of reconstitution of a partnership, it can be adjusted in two ways. First one, profits and reserves be cancelled. Partners may decide upon this कि they do not want to continue the accounts of profits and reserves. In that case, these accounts are to be cancelled. Second, profits and reserves are not to be cancelled, just the opposite of the first one. Partners may agree upon to continue the available reserves and profits, so these accounts are not to be cancelled. It will be very important to observe the accounting treatment in both the cases. What if the profits and reserves be cancelled? The undistributed profits and reserves belong to partners before the reconstitution of the firm, so these should be cancelled amongst the partners in their old profit sharing ratio. Because the reserves are available with the firm before reconstitution, so these reserves or profits to be distributed amongst old partners in their old ratio. What is the entry required? You can see I have taken two examples over here of the reserves. Profit and loss account having a credit balance and any other reserve. So these two accounts can be seen debited to existing partners' capital account in their old ratio. Undistributed losses and deferred revenue expenditure. Yes, if these accounts appear in the firm before reconstitution of partnership, then these accounts also be cancelled amongst the partners in their old profit sharing ratio. Let us see the entries. You can see there I have taken two examples for the losses as well. One is profit and loss account having a debit balance and deferred revenue expenditure. When you just cancel these accounts, you need to credit these accounts and debit is partners' capital or current account as the case may be in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. Profits and reserves are not to be cancelled. This is the second way of dealing with the profits and reserves. If profits and reserves are not to be cancelled, then we need to pass an adjustment entry over here. If it is decided amongst the partners that profits and reserves would continue to appear in the books at the same figure despite the reconstitution of partnership, an adjustment entry will be passed. This is due to the fact that profits and reserves belong to partners in their old ratio, but in future they agreed to share profits and losses in the new ratio. So, the gaining partners must compensate the sacrificing partners for the share they have gained by reconstitution of partnership. What are the entries required for accumulated profits or reserves? Gaining partners' capital or current account debited to sacrificing partners' capital or current account. Gaining partners' account will be debited in their gaining ratio and sacrificing partners' capital or current account will be credited in their sacrificing ratio. For accumulated losses, the entry needs to be reversed. Sacrificing partners' capital or current account debited to gaining partners' capital or current account in their sacrificing and gaining ratio respectively. The accounting treatment of revaluation of assets and reassessment of liabilities. It is necessary to revalue assets and liabilities at the time of change in the profit sharing ratio among the existing partners. Any loss or profit arising due to revaluation up to the date of change in profit sharing ratio should be divided amongst the partners in their old profit sharing ratio. For this purpose, revaluation account or profit and loss adjustment account is prepared. It is similar to nominal account. Do remember, for 1 marker questions, another name for revaluation account is profit and loss adjustment account, and the nature of this account is of a nominal account. What are the entries required with the help of revaluation account? When you just observe the decrease in the value of an asset. Because a decrease in the value of an asset is a loss, it has to be debited to revaluation account and credit that particular asset account. Let us see the revaluation account debited to asset account is the entry required if there is any decrease in the value of an asset. Next, increase in value of an asset. If the value of asset increases, it's a profit and the profit needs to be credited to revaluation account. So the asset account debited to revaluation account. what is the entry required for increase in value of liabilities? If the value of liability increases, it is a loss for us, and being a loss, it has to be debited to revaluation account. Revaluation account debited to liabilities account. And if there is a decrease in the value of liabilities, we know like we have to pay less towards the liabilities, so it is going to be a profit. Being a profit, it needs to be credited to revaluation account. So the entry is liabilities account debited to revaluation account. So 4 important things we have seen: increase in asset, decrease in asset, increase in liability, and decrease in liability. Increase in asset, it's a profit, so credit in revaluation. Decrease in asset, a loss, debit in revaluation. Increase in liability, a loss, debit in revaluation. And decrease in liability, a profit, so credit in revaluation. And then we need to get the difference of revaluation. If we find that the total of credit side of revaluation exceed the total of debit of revaluation, in that case it will be a profit, and this profit belongs to old partners in their old profit and loss sharing ratio. Revaluation account debited to partners capital or current account depending on the nature of the account maintained. What if there is a loss from revaluation account? In that case, partners capital or current account will have a T. So the entry is partners capital or current account debited to revaluation account. According to this method, the revised values of assets and liabilities will be recorded in the books of accounts. So if any asset increases, the new value, the increased value will appear in the balance sheet. In the same way, if liability decreases, the reduced value will have to appear in the balance sheet, right? So please take care whenever you are going for a change in the value of the assets and liabilities in the balance sheet, the revised values are to be shown. Partners may decide that the revised values of assets and liabilities are not to be recorded in the books. Okay, in that case, we know that adjustments will have to be made through partners capital account. Let us see how it is to be done. If partners have agreed to record the net effect of revaluation of assets and reassessment of liabilities through their capital accounts without affecting the valuation of assets and liabilities, a single adjustment entry is passed based on partners' gain or sacrifice. We already have gone through the same thing earlier also. Gaining partners will have to be debited and sacrificing partners will have to be credited. Let us see the entry. For profit on revaluation, if it is a profit, gaining partners capital or current account debited to sacrificing partners capital or current account. And if there is a loss, you need to reverse the entry. So sacrificing partners will be debited and gaining partners will be credited. I'm sure like I have made myself clear and have laid down the foundation for doing the numericals. Please go through both the videos to understand the topic very well. Thank you so much. Please like, share, comment and subscribe my channel. God bless you all.